What's going on, everybody? LK here, and today, some more Melty Blood for you this week of Melty Blood. I had my first impressions on stream like last week, basically like the first day that the game came out. But I've been pretty much playing this game every day, along with Strive. But playing this a little bit more just because it's newer. I'm trying to get used to the new systems and stuff. Yeah, I just want to share some thoughts about like my impressions, early impressions on the game, how I'm feeling about the game so far. So the really big thing is that this is the first Melty Blood like new version in almost 10 years. This is like the ninth year since current code came out. I think current code came out in like 2012, the PC version that you're probably aware of if you know about the game. This game has been pretty interesting. So I was actually kind of worried that the game would be broken. That's actually something I was super worried about before the game came out because none of us got to play it. Right now, we are basically beta testing the game. We all paid $50 to beta test the game. So I'm going to try to give my real and fair thoughts. So the first thing is going to be about the movement because this game is known for movement. So I think you can move around quite a bit. There's some things that are faster, some things that are slower. So for example, the run is way faster than I remember it being. Work is kind of schmoving, and then there are other characters like Tono and Koma and Miyako who traditionally don't have runs. They have like steps, so they run like a really short distance, and they have runs too. So the forward dash is really good, but there's dash, like you can't dash block. Like your dash has recovery on it, so you can get hit out of it. So it's kind of like a trade-off. Meanwhile, the backdashes, I guess, are the same, but they just travel further than I am used to, even though, like, overall, it just feels kind of the same. As far as the jumping, basically all good, besides the super jump always going forward, which is kind of just a weird thing for me. But I wasn't always the most airborne Melty Blood players. Like, it doesn't bother me really that much. Some people are really bothered by it. I'm just kind of like, whatever. The game feels good and pretty crisp, and I will say one of the things I don't like about Stripe is definitely the air dash specifically. I talk about it all the time, how I don't like it. It is part of the game, and I deal with it, but I really don't like it. And just having a normal, nice anime air dash feels really nice to me. Now, I want to talk about how the game accepts inputs. This is actually one of the first things I kind of don't like. So it makes sense. A lot of modern fighting games have, we call it the input buffer. So it's how the game actually accepts your inputs. This game has a auto combo system called Rapid Beat that is attached to all your buttons. And like the way that this game accepts inputs, I get this by accident a decent amount because I double tap stuff. It's a little bit annoying. I heard people saying too that if you're trying to do like running special moves, sometimes you won't get the right one. Melty Blood's always had like a kind of jank buffer, but I thought like, you know, they'd kind of fix this stuff because like now's a great opportunity because there's the new game. But hey, we're still here, so that stuff's kind of annoying. But I learned how to deal with it before, so I think that's fine. Probably the main one that will affect new players is how you air dash in this game. So in games like Dragon Ball and Guilty Gear, you used to be able to do like 9-6. I actually am pretty bad at this input. There you go, like that. I'm kind of bad at it though. But in this game, you have to go to neutral. So the whole reason why I have my cursed air dash input that I tend to use, this thing that you see on the left side, this thing, is because of Melty. Melty was my first fighting game, so that's why I air dash like that in every game is because of this game. You have to like return to neutral, and like one of the easiest tricks to do it is to tap forward first. So instead of doing like 9-6, you're supposed to actually do like 6-9-5-6. So like forward, up, forward, go back to neutral, and then forward again, and then the game will give it to you. But the good news is that the dash macro, not only can you have it on one button like Strive, but if you don't have it on one button like I do, I just use like the old school Melty Blood way. The game is much more lenient on inputs, which is really, really nice, I'm not gonna lie. As far as the way the characters look, I actually think the game looks pretty nice. I think LordKnight and sprite-based games look really nice, and you know, I've definitely heard some people be like, why am I paying $50 for a game that looks like it's from 2010? But like to me, I'm like, well, it's a huge upgrade for Melty Blood because Melty Blood looks like Melty Blood's ancient. Those sprites are ancient. It's like the old like Capcom versus SNK Morgan meme. Like they keep using the same Morgan sprites over and over. So I think the game actually looks pretty good. The music is really good. I thought the tutorial was not so great, so I'll be continuing to come out with like system guides, especially like as I learn stuff about the mechanics, which I'm about to talk about. I have a bunch of feelings on the mechanics. So, as far as system mechanics, the reverse B is like the same as it's always been. You know, you can do buttons any order. It lets you really freestyle pressure. You could do like C to B into A, B, C. The game doesn't have like really complicated inputs. As a feature, like the game has always had like your special moves are all like just mostly quarter circles, DP inputs, no like not really any half circles or anything advanced like that. The main things that people are probably talking about is going to be shield and a moon drive. These are probably the defining mechanics of this game. So when I started playing, shield was definitely the big one where some people have the idea where the game is kind of random because of this. I played Dragon Ball FighterZ in tournaments for like 3-ish years. It's definitely kind of weird to hear Dragon Ball players be like, yo, this shield mechanic is random when Dragon Ball has reflect and the variable delay wake up for 30 frames that if you don't play like Master Roshi, I had to play like Master Roshi and Gotenks and like Broly and stuff to stop people from gambling there. So as far as like the just pure gambling aspect, like depending on what game you're coming from, you know, if you're coming from Guilty Gear, this will seem pretty extreme, but if you're coming from Dragon Ball, it shouldn't be like that bad. And on top of that too, once you actually learn more about how the shield system works, it's really not like as crazy as you think it is, even though there's a lot of options. So there's mainly a couple of options the opponent has. They could do a shield counter immediately with the A or C button. They could do a Dragon Ball style vanish behind you. They can do a thrust that costs moon gauge and kind of ejects you from the situation. Or they can do nothing, actually. So a lot of the meme clips you see on Twitter will have things like this going on, where people just go back and forth with counter shielding each other until someone just gets something somehow. But for the most part, if you default to using thrust for a while, you should be good against the majority of players who try to kind of just spam you with this. So this is not like a strategy video. I'm actually going to talk about shield later when I understand it more, but I think it's kind of okay, mostly because of the thrust, and they do have to guess which way you are going to attack. Like they have to correctly pick the high or low shield. The only thing that bothers me is a change from NBA A where mids can now be shielded low, which really bothered me for like the first couple of days, but I got used to that. So I was actually, for the first day or two, I was like, shield is kind of random, bro, like what, like kind of like everyone else. But then after a little while, between building my offense better and starting to understand the shield system, I was like, all right, okay, like there's actually some interesting guessing games here. The deterrents are pretty big because also people aren't doing really high damage combos. The combo system is quite a bit different compared to standard Melty Blood, and there's definitely a lot of LordKnight in there. So overall, I don't blame people for not liking it because it definitely feels annoying when you start the game, like really annoying when you start the game. Every fighting game has annoying shit, so it's like, what are you willing to put up with, basically? And if you're from a game that like doesn't have something like this, even though like you can kind of stabilize the situation, like I don't blame you for feeling bad about it. Like I felt really annoyed about it for a couple of days for sure. So then we got to talk about the moon gauge. So instead of having the 3 grooves like the NBA, instead you have this moon gauge. You start the round with it full, and it does a couple of things. So as I mentioned, you get the shield thrust. You also get access to moves that use this meter. So I have this teleport, this anti-air, and this fireball. In the air I have fireball. You essentially get 4 uses. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Before you empty your meter. You can also charge it. This is also low-key a taunt, but you can also charge it. You take a little health when you do it. These moves are pretty strong. So some people are saying these moves are mad spammable. I'm not sure how to feel about these moves. They're like really powerful EX moves that are attached to a different resource. I don't really know what to say besides like I think it's okay. Like some characters have annoying ones, but every fighting game has characters with annoying stuff. So like I can't be like this character has this annoying move, so like I'm annoyed by the game itself. And like another thing too is this game is so far is not really like mix heavy, and the shield too is kind of like a preventative measure to make sure that like mix-ups don't get too nutty, like projectile style mix-ups don't get too nutty. So like considering how important neutral is, and then how the game speed is like fast, but then like it's like harder to pin people down, I think, because Melty Blood's also like a game about like outmaneuvering your opponent. Like having these seem to be necessary so far. Where I think it gets funky is with Moondrive and clashing. Once you activate Moondrive, everything you do has clash, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't really know how the clash system works. I played an exhibition yesterday for this game, and I honestly don't really know what my options are here at all. Like quite literally here, I am also experimenting. It having clash is pretty strong, I think, and people definitely need to find solutions for it. So this one I don't know how it really feels to me yet. But essentially right now the way the game feels is like it's pretty neutral based. When you get in, you kind of have to overextend a little bit on offense, but like it's fine. Like it's kind of always been like that, but you have to play around shield somewhat, and the defender feels quite strong. So like neutral is probably the key. Neutral and like having relatively safe, stable pressure is probably the key right now. The defender always has something they could do, and the way that they did it, having the moon gauge as a separate resource makes it so that you're never out of it. And also the held shield, so between like you have shield, you have meter, so you could have like heat, reversals if your reversal costs meter, and then you have moon gauge stuff. So you always have something that you can do that's pretty strong to kind of like turn the tables, and you can recover life in this game. Melty Blood is kind of known for its tricky offense, so you know, in real time, so like when they were updating the game and stuff, there were periods of time where people were like, oh, you know, like this character has good mix up, but this other character doesn't, or like it can maybe be a little bit tricky to open people up without using this or that. But over time, especially like by the time we got to like the end of PS2 and like CC, like mix got like pretty aggressive. So seeing it be more conservative, like for example, there's no rising overhead, so like no fuzzies. No fuzzy overheads, right? It's like Dragon Ball style, Guilty Gear style, like rising overheads. This is something they implemented in LordKnight pretty early, so I'm kind of interested in seeing what people actually do to open people up as people discover little things and cancels about the characters, because this is actually truly a new system. So this is the first time that Melty Blood has gotten a meaningful system update since I want to say like 2008 or something, because that would be the first version of Actress again. Last thing to address would be probably a couple of other system things about how the game has really strong crossover protection and stuff. This thing has always been in Melty Blood. There have been ways to break crossover protection before, and someone already found a way. It's like the LordKnight way of doing it. So don't worry. Like I think as far as that goes, you just have to let people develop. So overall, the game has been fun. Kind of this game is new, so it's fun. But like I'm seeing what's cool about it. I was a little bit worried though that like even though I was thinking, well, you know, Shield is like this, but you could deal with it overall. A lot of the people who I have thought were more competent that I've played like online. I've mostly been playing online. When I played them, I'm like, they're good, but still it's a game of like I have to, like, they're just picking something, they're gambling something at all times, and I have to just select against it, which you can do a really good job against. Like you really can do a good job against it. But I actually played a set yesterday at ECT that gave me a lot of hope for the game and how the game could be played, and I had a lot of fun. So we'll see what happens. Alright, as usual, if you guys have any questions or comments, definitely feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Like and subscribe if you guys feel like it, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.